There are three things that every gardener should know about their soil: how much clay it has, how much silt it has, and how much sand it has. Clay is great because it holds nutrition and water pretty well. But the downside is that if it gets too dry, it's like trying to work in cement, and it gets a little too compacted, so the roots have a hard time to grow. Sand is great because it's porous and the roots have places to grow, but the water washes away all the nutrients and it gets dried out pretty fast. Silt is the perfect combination of the two, but too much silt in your soil makes it hydrophobic, which means that the water just kind of runs right off the top of it. Plus, it's pretty susceptible to erosion. The perfect combination is what we call loam. That's 40% sand, 40% silt, and 20% clay. Now, I'm going to show you an easy test that you can do at home to see what the soil ratios are in your garden and what we can do to fix it. Here's what you're going to need: a clear, clean glass jar with a lid like a mason jar, some of your own garden soil, just make sure that you get rid of any of the large debris that's in it, water, a drop of dish soap, and a ruler. That's it. So I'm going to add about half of this jar full of soil. We'll fill the rest of the jar with water. And then we'll just add a drop of dish soap, and that will help separate the materials. And now you got to shake it. And this is where your workout comes in handy, because you got to shake it for about 3 minutes to make sure that all the materials are separated. I won't make you watch the whole 3 minutes. Now that you're done shaking it, what you want to do is just set it and forget it. Now, some people will say to leave it overnight for the test to be finished. It kind of depends on how much material you have in your jar. My test took 4 days. But what you're looking for is layers of sediment in the jar. Sand is the heaviest, so it'll land on the bottom first. Silt is second heaviest, so the middle layer will be silt. And then clay is the lightest, so that one will be on top. And your water should be somewhat clear. Certainly not as murky as it is now. Okay, so my test is finally finished, and you can see the different sediment layers. And what you want to do is you take a ruler, and you actually want to use the centimeter side, because that will give you a larger number. And because what we're looking for is percentages, and the larger number will give you, it'll be easier to find the percentage. So my sediment is total is 7 centimeters. And the sand, which is at the bottom, is about 4 centimeters. So 4 centimeters into 7 centimeters, that's about 57%. We'll just round it up to say 60% to make it easier. And then my silt is about 10%. And then my clay is about 30%. So I've got 60% sand, 10% silt, and 30% clay in my soil. I hear you saying, great, Sonny, but what does the percentages mean? Well, fortunately, there's somebody that was way smarter than me created a graph that we can calculate what our soil actually means. So let's take a look at what that means. So my soil was 60% sand, and you can see that sand is the graph at the bottom. So I'm going to start at 60. And then you want to find your next biggest number. In my case, that was clay, and it was 30% clay. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to move 60 up until I hit the 30, and you'll see right there that my soil is sandy clay loam. Sandy clay loam. So not terrible, but it's not perfect loam. So I've got some work to do. And remember, the perfect combination that we're looking for is 40% sand, 40% silt, and 20% clay. So hopefully by now you've gotten your test results back, but what do you do with them? Well, if it ended up that your soil was too sandy, what you want to do is add organic material, something like compost, worm castings, leaf mold, and just layer it on top of the sand. Eventually, it'll work its way down and create a perfect loam. If your soil ended up having too much silt, you also want to add organic matter, but you might also consider planting a cover crop because silty soil is susceptible to wind erosion, so that cover crop will help keep your soil in place. And if your soil is too clay heavy, well, you guessed it, adding more organic material is the solution. If you layer it on top, it'll work its way down and create a better loam. A question I get asked a lot is, can't you just add sand to clay to create a loam? And the answer is no, you can't. Because what happens is that the clay moves its way into the porous areas of the sand and really just creates cement. So there is no quick and easy fix to make your soil a perfect loam. And remember, there's really no such thing as bad soil. You just have to learn how to work with it. And you have to be patient. Good soil takes time to build. Let me know in the comments what kind of soil ratio you ended up having, and if you like this video, give us a subscribe.